We are all just insecure beings seeking to be seen. Everybody's just casually kicking it or trying to head to the altar. We show up in these ways where we operate how we expect the other person will accept us. People don't want true compatibility. They don't want to grow with somebody together. People kind of want a ready-made situation. Men and women alike, they want a ready-made, you fit into my lifestyle, come on, let's go. Like, if we are really looking for soulful connections, we shouldn't be so focused on things that are just at the surface. We have to be open to what we want and what we need, not coming in the package in which we envision. Like, where are the people who want to be intentional, but also take it at a pace that feels natural? Okay, but I'm not committing to a life of sadness because I don't have a man. Like, I'm willing to move forward with my life and be happy whether I get it or not. This one is for the millennial who is out here on these dating apps losing their mind because they want a man, but they don't really know how to find one. And they go outside, but don't nobody talk to them. So they get back on the apps, then they delete the apps, then they re-download the apps, then they delete it again, and then they talk to a couple of people, and then it never goes anywhere. Me too, girl. Let's go beneath the seams. Life can be so complex. The human experience is far more expansive than what we can see, and we spend so much time just trying to figure it out. We put on makeup, nice clothing, and we go out into the world trying to hold it all together. When beneath those seams, we are being ripped apart. Some of the ripping is self-inflicted, some of it is because of the pressure of society, but all of it is limiting. Limiting in our quest to just simply be who we truly are. We're more complex than we give ourselves credit for. We fill our brains with popular sayings like, oh, it ain't that serious, loosen up, or just live a little. But life in itself is a deep, non-surface level experience, and sometimes it can be pretty serious. So often we force ourselves to only exist at the surface, never allowing ourselves to be fully exposed. We let the layers pile up until the pressure becomes too much to bear, and then we rip. Sometimes into shreds, and a lot of the times in silence. Beneath means to go below the surface, and seams are what are supposed to keep us joined together. Because we are taught, no matter what, you just have to keep yourself together. We create this image, never letting people in, never going beneath the seams. I don't know if we ever get the answers we expect from life, but I'm starting to find peace in the process of just figuring it out. Instead of forcing the complexities of this human experience to be hidden, let's peel back the layers and go beneath them. Beneath the Seams, a love letter to millennials who are just trying to figure it out. Beneath the Seams, the podcast, now available on all platforms. Hey y'all, and welcome back to another episode of Beneath the Seams. This is the safe seat. This is the seam seat. This is the seat where I get all up in y'all business, y'all get in mine, and we talk about things that people don't be wanting to talk about, okay? We have uncomfortable conversations because things are never really what they seem, so we go beneath them to really peel back the layers and expose our true selves. I am your host, Kayla Riggins. Thank you for journeying with me as we get closer to our true selves, closer in relationship with people, and just overall closer to God and just living a better, more authentic life, okay? Gone for a minute, now I'm back with the jump off. I took a little 2-week hiatus. If you watched the last episode, I was definitely in a very low space. I say all the time, my depression be acting up, y'all. And so in those moments, I think it's important for me to know when I'm kind of at capacity because of the nature of the content of the podcast and the way that I expose myself so authentically, which I'm fine with, by the way. I'm not complaining, but it does require a lot of you to pour in that way. So sometimes you may just have to take a break, and I'm just coming to terms with that. And thank y'all for all of your kind words, your comments, your affirmations. Y'all my people. Twin, where have you been? Y'all are my people. Y'all definitely let it be known that y'all are in similar spaces in your lives, but you also were affirming that, what I'm doing is impactful and that you guys enjoy it. So I just really appreciate that pouring into. When you do so much of the pouring in relationships, it's nice to have people, and in this case, y'all don't even know me personally, pour into me. So I appreciate that. I appreciate the check-ins and the prayers and all of the things. But we back, okay? Gone for a minute, now we back with the jump off, okay? And I'm excited to get into today's topic because we got some things to talk about, okay? Over the past 2 weeks, I've been back on these dating apps. And child, I got some realizations that have been realized. So let's get into it. So I want to talk today about what I am learning about myself, about other people, and just about this idea of companionship in general from being back on these dating apps. Now, I got to preface this by saying, got to give a little disclaimer. I am not a fan of talking about these things on the internet. I'm not a fan of relationship podcasts, dating podcasts. I love what the young lady is doing with the Pop the Balloon show. I love it from a fellow entrepreneur, creative standpoint. Like, I love the idea and the concept, and I love to see that Black woman doing her thing. But I hate how the content can be so viral and kind of divisive and negative. I feel like one of the things that's working against us when it comes to dating, because, everybody loves to say the pool got piss in it and, everybody's trash and all of these things. But I feel like one thing that kind of helps swirl the pool of piss around is the internet and dating content. And so I'm very careful in terms of how much of it I consume, which is little to none. And I really am very careful about talking about it. But I would be disingenuous if I didn't touch on it here and there, because the reality is it's a part of my life and it's a part of most of our lives. And so the last time I touched on dating was in the episode titled I'm 33 and I'm okay if I'm never anybody's wife or mother. And of course, that episode is the highest rated since I've been doing the podcast. It has the most views, the most comments. It definitely went semi-viral. And so, of course, with that comes a lot of exposure, a lot of opinions, a lot of comments, all of which I'm okay with. I always say you can disagree with me, you just cannot disrespect me. The problem is y'all mofos be getting disrespectful. And so I try to be careful about talking about this type of content because I'm never going to come from a negative place. I'm going to come from a real place. And if there are some not so negative experiences in that place, then so be it. But my goal is never to be negative or pessimistic or demeaning when it comes to dating and companionship. That is the opposite of what I feel like we need. But I have to tell my truth and I have to talk about the things that I'm going through because it's my life and my salvation, and whom should I fear? Because of the response of the last episode, I was like, I'm never, ever talking about dating again. But I decided, y'all ain't gonna run me away from my truth. This ain't y'all life. Y'all ain't gonna ruin my life. And so I preference it by saying this. Whatever I say, it's just my opinion. If you disagree, you have that right. Be respectful. Okay? If you agree, amazing. But let's make it a communal experience where we just do that. We share experiences, we hold each other accountable, and we lift each other up. And I wanna say this too, because it's beneath the scenes, and we get personal. I stay away from this type of content because when you show up in the world, and oh my God, when you show up on the internet and you look like me, and you have the nerve to say anything less than favorable about dating or about men, throw tomatoes, boo, you're fat, you don't deserve love, go on a diet, hit the gym. It's like, I can't even say, hey y'all, this guy took me out without somebody saying, you're fat, you don't deserve him. And that type of rhetoric is crazy to me. And so people don't even listen past what they see to really understand your experience. It's almost if they don't look at you as human or they don't value you as a good commodity out here in the dating world because of how you look. And let me tell y'all something. One thing about me, one thing about it, and two things for sure. I'm fine. Okay? This face card never declines. And while this body does have some extra meat on it, It's proportionate. It's in place. Okay. It's very much pulled together. If you think that there are people in this world who do not find me attractive or deem me desirable, you are out of your mind. Okay? Mentally ill. And we're going to leave it at that because it is not my place to go back and forth with the mentally ill. All right. So that's just a part of the hesitation around me talking about this topic, but we out here. Okay. We here now. It is what it is. And this is who I am. And so we're going to get into it. Okay. So I'm back on the dating apps against my will, of course. I would love to just meet somebody in person because it just eliminates so much of the barriers of meeting somebody online, right? Are they really who they say they are? Do they look like what they say they look like? Do they have all their teeth? Can they actually, do their subjects and verbs actually agree? Like, it's so many things that you have to think about when meeting someone online that are immediately eliminated when you meet them in person. I'm also a very big energy person. And so you can discern if an energy is in alignment with you when you meet somebody in person. But y'all, I be going out, I be living my life. I mean, I'm not doing anything outside of the ordinary. Like, I'm not going speed dating or like actively seeking out singles events. Should I be doing that? I don't know. I'm not actively doing those things. Like, I'm going to the grocery store. I'm going to the gas station. I'm going out. Piece of hair in my mouth. I'm going out to, dinner, just the normal things that I do. And so I just don't be meeting people. People be looking, but they don't say nothing. I just don't, it's hard to meet people in person. So here we are back on these damn apps. And so the number one thing that I am learning about dating in this season, in this culture, is that it's not really about companionship. A lot of times I find that we are not really, and I'm putting me in it, saying we, because you don't want to blame people for stuff because all you can control is yourself. And if every experience, I believe that you should learn from it and you focus on being better out of it, because that's the only thing we can really control, right? I find that people are rarely looking for true companionship. Like, is this someone who can be a good partner for me in terms of a soul connection? I feel like mostly people are looking for people who will fit into their lifestyle or already like a puzzle piece, just kind of naturally fit into what they're going on. I've had guys say things to me once they learned that I was an entrepreneur or a content creator, like, oh, well, that sounds very busy, or, oh, it sounds like you're all about you. And it's like, well, yeah, because that's all I got going on right now. But if you the one, then baby, it's going to be all about you too. Okay. There's room over here. And so they are kind of turned off when you are very ambitious, when you are a quote unquote boss chick. I don't really like that term either, but those are some of the terms that are used in culture. And so it got me to thinking, like, if companionship, like soulful connection, is really the goal, we're not even doing the work to really see if this person is truly compatible in that regard. It's like we ask this line of questioning to kind of just suss out whether or not they fit into the life that we already have. And I think relationships are about forming a life together. And I fall victim of it too. Like, I will never, ever in my life participate in any type of man bashing conversation because I want one. So that's crazy, right? That's like saying all of the restaurants in Atlanta are trash. Are you never going to go out to eat again? Like, that's crazy. So I don't believe in saying it's never all. There's always an exception to the rule. And I don't believe in grouping everybody in one setting if that setting is something that you desire. So I can't walk around here saying, all men are trash, but want a man. Make it make sense, right? So I'm not grouping everyone together, but largely in my experience, people kind of interact with you and it's a very direct manner to really figure out if who you are is in sync with who they are, instead of, do we have like qualities? Are we like-minded where we can be able to grow together? And that's if it ever even gets to that conversation. So that's the first thing that I'm learning, is that people don't want true compatibility. They don't want to grow with somebody together. People kind of want a ready-made situation. Men and women alike, they want a ready-made, you fit into my lifestyle, come on, let's go. The thing that I'm learning is there isn't quite like an in-between. I'm meeting people who are, mind you, half of this stuff never even leaves the app. So there's that. But people are either very lackadaisical, very casual, like, hey, literally, hey, one word messages, or they're very much, I believe you were sent from the heavens just for me. And it's like, where's the middle ground? They're either too casual and not trying to move this thing along, or they're ready to go get married. Like, where are the people who want to be intentional, but also take it at a pace that feels natural? Okay. I also think one word answers on dating apps should be disbarred. Like, it shouldn't be allowed. You shouldn't be able to type in a one word answer. Okay. And a lot of times people communicate on these apps as if they already know you. And here's what I mean by that. Hey, how's your day? Hey, how you're doing? I know that that's like an entryway to conversation, but it doesn't make sense for me. Y'all know I hate small talk, to lead with those things every single time we chat when you don't really know me. Like, you don't know me or know who I am to know enough about how my day was when I even answer that question. I feel like we spend so much time in the small talk that we don't really get significant connection. Like, there's so little connection that's already possible when it's on paper, meaning we're reading it, so the interpretation is up for our own understanding. I think we should quickly move these things to a phone conversation, or at least off the app. And it just never seems to go there. Maybe people, I personally feel like men have way more options than women. And so maybe the men like qualified options. So maybe the men are just preoccupied with so many different options, and it's kind of like survival of the fittest. May the best woman win. And so when people kind of phase out, I always figure, oh, somebody else caught their attention, or something, else took priority over our connection or our conversation. I never take it personal because it just happens so much, and like, you don't even know me, so it can't be anything that I said or did, or maybe it was, and that's okay too, because if it's not a connection, then it's just not. But I feel like there's no intentional middle ground. It's either super casual, almost to the point of it being boring. And y'all know I could talk. Y'all know I talks down on this podcast. I talk for a living. Like, I can talk. I am a conversationalist. I articulate myself well. I'm engaging. My personality popping. Like, I already know that that's one of my strong suits. So if I'm struggling to engage you in conversation, it is really a drag. It is really a bore. And I think it's because there's no middle ground. Like, intentionally trying to get to know someone, to have experiences that determine whether or not you guys are truly compatible. Everybody's just casually kicking it or trying to head to the altar. And I'm not in any of those spaces right now. Like, if casually kicking it comes of me meeting you and I just decide to put you in that box, okay. But I would rather be dating with intention to really get to know someone and really form a real connection. I'm definitely not ready to head to nobody's altar right now. And so where is the middle ground? Okay. I need to know, where are the people who intentionally want to date? They're actually going to keep up the conversation and make actual strides to move the conversation off these apps and into a phone conversation, a FaceTime, and then ultimately in person. Another thing that I'm learning from this installation of me being on dating apps is, y'all, we are really shallow. And I'm not only learning this from me being on dating apps, but from my friends being on them with me. So sometimes we will sit and scroll together. So like, I can see what she's swiping left and right on, and vice versa. And we've even watched like the Pop the Balloon show together. And when I audit and I'm including me in this, our responses to the men because of what they had on, or their shoes, like these little things that can be changed. They are important, but they can be changed. I'm like, damn, we shallow. And I ain't no better than anybody else, because first impressions do matter. Like, y'all know I'm a girl who likes to get dressed. I like to put that shit on. So it is important for me, for you to present well. Like, I need you to match my fly. But I'm going to be honest with y'all, because it's beneath the seams. Matching your fly is not a matter of the heart. Like, if we are really looking for soulful connections, we shouldn't be so focused on things that are just at the surface. And being back on these apps is just really teaching me that we are all superficial and shallow AF. And I think it's one of the things that's really hindering us from making genuine, true connections. I'm in a space in my life where I can also use male friends. Like if we meet on a dating app, but we decide like, we're not compatible in this regard, but like, hey, come kick it, come watch the game. Like, I just feel like as women, we need a healthy amount of just good men in our lives, even if it's platonic, the very least lead to that. And I think it's because we're only focused on the physical and we are so incredibly harsh when things don't physically really match up. Now, I'm 5'9", I'm a tall girl. So I be a stickler about height. But when I listen to my friends who are not tall girls be like 6 foot, I be like, yo, like that's insane. Like he can't be 5'9". I'm 5'9", you're 5'4". Friend, when you put your heels on and we go out, I'm still taller than you if I got on flats that night and you got on heels. Like, why he can't be 5'9"? He can't even be 5'10"? So I think collectively, and this is why I say, and mind you, there are going to be moments of contradiction. Y'all know I don't believe that life is this or that. I don't believe things are black and white. I believe life is this and that. And I believe that life comes with a lot of gray area. And so I am going to say things that contradict myself. Like, it's a part of life. Like, I don't think we should force ourselves to be so it's just this one thing. We're super layered. We're complicated as people, as species, as beings. And so when I think about like this idea of us wanting like this perfect, desirable partner, it kind of makes me this moves me into the next thing that I'm learning. It kind of makes me wonder if our self-view is distorted. Like, is the way that, myself included, because y'all know I could be a little, I ain't gonna say I'm conceited. I got a reason. I'm conceited. I got a reason. Word to Remy Ma. But I'm not gonna say I'm conceited, but when it comes to confidence, I ain't really lacking in that area. And so sometimes, for the sake of conversation, I wonder, is my self-view distorted? Like, does the world not see me the way I see myself? And vice versa. Like, it's some men who, they be feeling like the man when they walk through. Okay? R.I.P. Rich Homie Quan. That's my favorite Rich Homie Quan song. And it'll be a group of me and my girlfriends, and we'll be like, he ain't all that. I mean, he's so cocky, he arrogant, but he ain't all that. But we all think very highly of ourselves. And so are we wrong in thinking so highly of ourselves and not highly of others? Or is our worldview of self just distorted? Like, maybe we all just actually ain't all that. Like, when we think about how God threw Adam and Eve in the garden and they was naked and they didn't know it, I think that there's some spiritual symbolism in that. It's like, y'all can't see and feel what each other look like. Like, this was a spiritual connection. And in a way, I think that if we could just get beyond the physical, we would have better experiences with compatibility. Like, you will find that you really like people. It's happened before. And so that moves me into my next point. There was a guy who I matched with. We chatted for a little while, but he was so square, y'all. He was so square. And I was like, I mean, can we go out and like dance all night and maybe stand on the table or two? Because I'm still a little young. Like, it's not my everyday occurrence, but 2-3 times a year, I'm not above a 5 a.m. night, a 3 a.m. night, a stand on top of the table because we in Vegas in this New Year's Eve night. Okay? In the club, I got my people with me. Like, he just ain't give me those vibes. And I was telling my friends, I was like, yo, he's such a square, but I enjoyed our conversation. Like, what do I do with this? And so these apps are teaching me that what I think I really need is not what I need. And so I'm trying to find the balance between what I want and the things that turn me on physically or even turn me on internally, like what I want versus what I need. And even just saying that prayer, like, God, show me what I need. Now, me and the square, we no longer talk for other reasons, but it did open me up to the possibilities of entertaining a man who is square. He might have to have like rounded corners or something. But yes, see, I'm already backpedaling. Something is wrong with us. But at least, again, I'm not letting it get me down. I think the biggest thing is to have fun while doing it. And that was my point in the last time I talked about this dating stuff, is that whether it happens or not for me, I'm not sitting around sad about it. Like, does it make me sad sometimes? Sure. But I'm not committing to a life of sadness because I don't have a man. Like, I'm willing to move forward with my life and be happy whether I get it or not. And that's always the goal, is to learn how to be happy and thankful for what you have. And so that's why I'm able to approach dating in this season from a very jovial perspective, because it's hard. It's challenging. Some days it looks very low. When my days look low. Did I hit my note? Some days it looks very low. But I remain optimistic because you have to if it's something that you want. And like I said, I don't know if I want to be a wife. I don't know if I want to be a mother, but I've always said I do desire companionship. I do desire to date. I do desire to vibe with somebody. And I would be less than human if I said that we are supposed to be alone. I do not believe that. People love to twist their words and make them what they want them to be, but that is not my belief. And so I'm learning that I'm going to have to be more tolerant of the square type, because I could be a little square too. I'm an intellectual. I'm a big thinker. I have a high IQ, a high level of emotional intelligence. And so when you are smart, naturally that comes with a little bit of square. But also, I grew up in New Orleans. Like, I went to all Black public schools, and I went to a HBCU, and I lived in New York for 10 years, and I worked in the industry. Like, there's a certain level of experience that I have that makes me, as the old folks would say, hip. Like, I'm tapped into culture, and that also is like fun to me and attractive. And so I want us to be able to talk about the presidential debate and Drake's new album. Is that too much to ask for him to be well-rounded? Is that too much for me to ask? Y'all let me know. But I'm more open to him not being able to talk about Drake's latest album as much, if he has the other things that I'm looking for in terms of that soul compatibility. Now, the next thing that being back on these apps is teaching me, and y'all have heard me reference this before, is that we are all just insecure beings seeking to be seen. We are all just insecure beings seeking to be seen. And I'm definitely including myself in this one. And that's why I always say people will never understand the genius. I'm currently rewatching Insecure again, because I told y'all originally when it aired, I was in my 20s. And so I wasn't the age that they are on the show. I love all of the girls' shows, the Insecures, the Girlfriends, the Living Singles, the Sex and the City, the Golden Girls, like all of those shows that feature the lives of a friend group, I love. Even the newer ones like Harlem, and it's another one. Harlem and, oh my God, it's another one. Run the World. Harlem and Run the World. I even like those. And so it's different though when you're watching the content and you are the age or you have the experience that the people who were in the show were having. So like watching Insecure a few years back when it was running live, it was good TV, but it did not hit how it hits now, because I'm 33. Issa, I think, just had her 30th birthday on the season that I'm on. Lawrence is 32. And so now I have the life experience to go with the subject matter of what they were talking about. And baby, it hits so different. So her naming that show, the simplicity of the word insecure, I think is lost on so many of us. Like, it ain't gonna really hit until years later when that show is in syndication and people are doing think pieces on it. But it is genius, because that is how I would sum up the dating experience, and even just the human interaction experience, even like sometimes platonically, but keeping the focus on dating. We are all just seeking to be seen. And I think as a result, we show up in these ways where we operate how we expect the other person will accept us. And so it causes us to prolong getting to those deeper connections because we consistently show up as our representatives. But even beyond that, we consistently show up as this version of ourselves that we've been taught is what a man wants or likes, or what a woman wants or likes. And I don't know who made up these rules, but those things are such a manufactured way of thinking because in the positive interactions that I have had, I'll keep to myself for now. Child, I ain't went nowhere. So don't think I ain't keeping y'all. I'm keeping y'all out the business because I'm not. But I will be the type to pop up on your timeline married. So just know that. But in the positive interactions that I've had, when we are able to connect in a soulful way, they're like, dang, like you made me think differently. Like you're really dope. Like that's deep. I never thought about it like that. That's when the layers are really peeled back and you're able to make a connection with someone that is not based on who you were taught to be. You know, as women, we're taught to be very demure, no pun intended, but all of the puns intended. We're taught to be submissive. We're taught to be dainty and polite and very agreeable. And when that's not genuinely who you are, and you're taking that person into this interaction with the man, he's not going to have an opportunity to really assess if you are a good partner for him if that's not genuinely who you are. I'm never going to be agreeable. I'm easy to get along with, but if I don't agree, I don't agree. I'm not going to intentionally try to be difficult, but I'm also not going to intentionally attempt to be agreeable just for the sake of having a man. And I think that a lot of times the ways in which men are taught to be aren't really who they are as well. Men take a lot of their note and direction from other men and pleasing and being in the in crowd with men instead of really seeking to understand who they are and what type of woman will be compatible with that person at the core. And so because we're all just insecure, we're all running around, frailing our arms, lost in the sauce. I think it's really limiting the connections that we can be making because we are so focused on showing up in a way that attracts and keeps the opposite sex. And so I'm just focused on making sure that how I'm showing up, the conversations that I'm having, are things that are my own thoughts, right? Even like we love to lead with, so what do you do? You know, do you have kids? Have you been married? Yes, those things are important. But fundamentally, they won't really affect the core of your connection. So what a person does for a living, right? I had to tell my girlfriends a few years ago, I was like, look, when I tell y'all I met somebody new, don't ask me what he do. Don't ask me what he looked like. Don't ask me any of those superficial things. Ask me things like, what did y'all talk about? How did he make you feel? Those are the things that really create a connection. But we like to keep it so on the surface that what do you do thing? I get it. We want stability. We don't want nobody on the street. We don't want nobody with no job. We want people to have at least what we have. Somewhere to live, something to drive, right? Money to be able to put food on the table and go on vacation once or twice a year. I get it. But I think so often we tie our identity into those things. And especially if you are a woman who dates men, men are socialized in society to tie their identity to what they do. And so as a result, when those things are no longer intact, they don't even know who they are. And that's why the relationships are affected. And so, yeah, I care about what you do. I want you to at least like what you do because that's important. We spend so much time at work. But what you do is not a representation of who you are. But we are taught to lead with all of these on paper, by the book things, almost checking off this list, right? Does he have a good job? Is he traditionally physically attractive? Does he not have children? Has he ever been married? All of these things that don't really make a core connection. And I'm learning that that's a part of the superficial experience with dating as well. But I also understand that it's a thin line because what people do for a living can be important. But at the same time, I think that we just put too much focus on it. So allow it into the argument, allow it into the courtroom, but we don't need to necessarily use it as a ruling. And then the last thing that being back on these apps is teaching me is we got to do a better job at treating people how we would want to be treated. That is the golden rule. Like, I feel like we start learning that in kindergarten, but then by the first grade, we didn't forget it because nobody's actually implementing it. But what I mean by that is, like, if you wouldn't want to be judged by a certain situation, then it's important for you not to try not to judge other people based on that same circumstance. And so when we talk about having a good job and being financially stable, one of the things that constantly comes up is, does he have good credit? And it's like, girl, do you? I literally had to tell that to a girlfriend. I said, bitch, your credit, last time we talked, your credit wasn't. She was like, you know what? You are absolutely right. And I'm like, yes, it's like y'all know my life is in shambles, okay? We working through it, to God be the glory. But it's been a very tough transition for me, moving back to Atlanta, changes with the business and all of that. And so I wouldn't want anybody to judge me based on the current status of my circumstances. And so I try not to do the same thing. Now, you have to be smart about it because patterns are important. People having a history of a certain type of behavior is important. But overall, fundamentally, I just want us to do a little bit more work of not throwing people away so quickly because they didn't match up with our list. Because these things didn't align immediately based on the vision of what we think we want. Because what having some of these conversations is teaching me is that none of us really know what we want. And that's why we're doing this work to figure it out. But we have to be open to what we want and what we need, not coming in the package in which we envisioned. And that looks like being open so that you can meet someone, make a soul connection, a core connection, and actually grow together. So that's the vibe I'm on. If that's you, put your number in the chat. No, I'm just playing. Men only watch my content to troll me and to be mean. You're this, you're that. And I get it. Like, my content is definitely geared towards women. And so, and that's intentional. But just in case you stumble across, if anything I said is you, put it in the chat, boo. Okay? So y'all, that is what I am learning. That's what my experience has been like being back on these apps. I know we were a little all over the place today, but I'll tell you what, I'm having fun. I wish I was having more in-person fun. It's so hard to get these conversations off the apps. Like, what is with that? Like, why aren't people moving off the apps, moving into the phone, and then ultimately in person? Like, that is the most frustrating part about being on them. Like, y'all pray that I just bump into my man at Publix. I'm finna go to Publix right now when I finish this episode. And y'all just pray that he be there because I don't understand. Like, what is the point of us being chat buddies? And, like, what are we, pen pals? Endlessly, hey, how you doing? And talking back and forth. My dating profile bio says, I'm looking to make a genuine connection and I want to move past the hey, how you doing phase. Because that's all it seemed to be. But we gonna hang in there. We gonna thug it out. If y'all got some tips, leave them in the comments. If y'all got some brothers and uncles and cousins, leave their phone numbers in my DMs. But no, in all seriousness, we are going to continue to pray it through. And I'll say this. Continue to put yourself out there. Like, there are moments where I'm deleting the apps, I'm fed up, I'm not doing it. And then there are moments like now where I'm back on it. And I want to conclude by saying I get back on them because it is so necessary. Like, sometimes I talk with my girlfriends and I'm like, bitch, let's just go out. I need some masculine energy. Like, I'm tired of being in here with myself. I'm tired of seeing myself. Y'all cool. I love y'all. Twin, sister to the end. But I need some men. Where are the men? And I bring that up to say masculine energy is so important. And so that's why we continue to put ourselves out there, because there's an innate desire to have companionship, to have interactions with, for me, it's the opposite sex. For you, it may be the same sex, whatever it is. There's an innate desire to feel that level of connection outside of platonic relationships. So I be taking breaks, but I ain't giving up. And you shouldn't either, okay? All right, so now is the part of the show where we go beneath the comments. Listen, if you guys are listening on Apple Podcasts, please do me a favor. If anything I have ever said has resonated with you, that means you my people, boo, okay? Leave me a comment, rate and review. It is very important. The reviews over there are struggling. Okay, if y'all tired of hearing me trying to hit my note, just leave a review over there. It really helps. It helps other people find the podcast. And so with Beneath the Comments, I was talking to my cousin about it. My cousin Rachel came to see me a few weeks ago, and I was telling her about how I wanted to really build community around the pod. And I was like, with Beneath the Comments, people comment and, you know, they're complimentary of me or they'll comment about the conversation. I was like, but I feel like they're not really like getting in on the conversation. And she was like, well, you need to communicate with them. So y'all, Beneath the Comments, it's meant for you to say whatever you want to say. And of course, there's an opportunity for it to be read on the podcast, but it's also your opportunity to ask me follow-up questions, to ask me advice, to leave episode topics and idea suggestions. Tell me about the things that's going on in y'all millennial life or just in your life in general, because I know we reach all the way past the millennial generation and before. So whatever it is, it's not just about like your opinion of what I said or your opinion of the topic, but just overall, Beneath the Comments is intended for us to really get in on a conversation until I figure out where to house us. Because I want some type of community where we can actually talk, like monthly Zoom calls and stuff like that. I tried Patreon, but we're going to put that on pause for right now because I don't know. And in the meantime, let's get active in the comments. I know sometimes I be taking long to respond. That's just because my depression be acting up. But also, I want to be intentional about my responses because y'all be saying some stuff. And so I be wanting to really take my time to really respond. So anyway, child, stop what you're doing right now and leave a comment. All right. So let's go beneath the comment. So this comment is from, I'm going to mess up her name. I'm just going to spell it. THANDOHLANGANISE 7071. She says, hey, Kayla, watching all the way from South Africa. We international. We're worldwide. That's so cool. She said, girl, can I just say these conversations feel like the warmest and most validating hug. You speak to me so much. I've been in my head for the past few months and it's been hell. This conversation absolutely felt like a weight that has been lifted off my shoulders. I hope I make sense. When you said people connect with what's real, I was like, yeah, girl, that's you. You are so real and we see and love you. Love you too, sis. This was such a nice comment. I know we don't know each other, but y'all, we know each other because spiritually we are connected and I am on assignment. I truly believe that with the work that I'm doing. And I ain't trying to say I'm a Jan Levine Zant, you know what I mean? Or I'm not, a spiritual leader in terms of that type of work, but I do believe that these conversations are important. And in some small way, if I can help you see yourself, feel like you're getting a warm hug, that's meaningful. Like that helps us move along in life and navigate life better. And so I don't take that for granted. So thank you for sharing such a nice comment. And I love that you said it feels like a weight has been lifted off your shoulders because a lot of times, y'all, that's what it feels like for me when I sit down to talk as well. So I encourage y'all to have some form of release, writing, reading, podcasting. I definitely recommend it. And so our next comment comes from Kaylin. She says, Kayla, thank you so much. Honestly, today was one of the hardest days I have had in a long time. I prayed to God to help me out of the dark. This video found me. This video gave me exactly what I needed, light. That was such a beautiful comment. Wow. Just thank you for sharing. Thank you for being vulnerable enough to say that on a public forum that you were having a tough day, because they happen, I think in life, they happen more than we would like to, but it's how we navigate them that makes the good outweigh the bad. And so that's what this experience is about. I can't wait, y'all, until we're on retreats, until we're having fireside chats and we're meeting up in person to be able to hug y'all and touch y'all and squeeze y'all and connect with y'all for real, because that's the vision I have for this space. So I can't wait until I can take this offline into a in real life space so that we can have these moments together. We got to get that virtual group together because I need y'all to know that y'all not alone. y'all crazy, just like me. I'm crazy too. That's why I sit here and I just let my crazy be on public display so that y'all can know y'all not alone. But thank you so much, Kaylin, for your comment. And so this next comment comes from Third Eye Open 2606. They say, we are all going through the same things, but no one is talking about it. That is true. She said, we only talk about it online or laugh at a meme or a post that touched the surface. And then she says, I'm going to paraphrase a little bit. I recently became vocal about a problem and someone offered me a solution. I'm trying just to have real conversations. Oftentimes, pride makes us hide ourselves. I wanted to highlight this comment because it is the premise of the pod. Everybody's going through the same thing, but nobody's talking about it. And we may laugh about a meme or a post online, but we're not really getting to the meat of what's going on. And that's why I want to have these conversations with y'all, because maybe you don't have those people in your life that you could talk to it about, but you could leave a comment and you could talk to me about it. And so that's what this platform that, I'm trusting God to connect with you all with. That's what it's all about. And I'm just so happy that I'm finding my people and that you guys are enjoying this experience, even when I do dodge y'all for 2 weeks. That will conclude Beneath the Comments. Listen, we going back to back in October, y'all. I got that drink in me going back to back, okay? I'm feeling better. I'm feeling good. I'm committed. Now, don't hold it against me if I go back on my word, but I'm going to keep my word. We going back to back. I will drop an episode every week in October. Okay. So I look forward to continuing these conversations and making sure that we stay connected. So if you want to get your comment read, leave a comment, go beneath the comments. Okay. All right, y'all. So listen, no matter where you are in your journey, no matter if you are on 5 dating apps, 0 dating apps, if you're thinking about starting a dating app of your own, no matter where you are with dating, if you have never been in love, if you are a hopeless romantic, if you've been married, if you've been divorced, whatever it is, my prayer for you, my wish for you is that you simply find peace in the process of just figuring it out. I'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye.